Hi everyone! Today we are doing our big write. We're doing our bee's knees task. We are writing a diary entry. We are being Alexander T. Wolfe and we're writing the story about what happened to us on the day that we accidentally killed and ate pigs. And we are writing about what happened to us on that day as a diary. You will need some paper and you will also need your plan from yesterday to help you remember what happens in the story. We need to be thinking about writing about the events in the right order and trying to use as many of those year one grammar features as we can. So all of our sentences need capital letters, finger spaces and full stops. And we're also going to try and work in some adjectives, some time connectives and some conjunctions. So let's begin. Firstly, we know that we are writing a diary entry, and diaries always start with Dear Diary. So that's going to come at the top here. It needs a capital letter for Dear and then Diary. I'm going to pop a comma there. So we've got Dear Diary. Dear Diary is sort of like writing to at the beginning of a card that's to someone. It just usually comes at the beginning of a diary. So to make our writing look like a diary by Alexander T. Wolfe, that's what we're going to put Dear Diary there first. Okay, now I'm going to start writing my next sentence on the next line. So I'm going to leave Dear Diary there on its own. My next sentence needs a capital letter because it will be the beginning of a sentence. So I need to have a look at my plan and have a look what happens first. I was making a cake for my dear old granny's birthday. I had a terrible sneezing cold and I ran out of sugar. So I'm going to try and put that into some sentences that make sense and have got capital letters and full stops. Okay, so first I'm going to use the time connective firstly, because I know that that has to come somewhere near the beginning. So I'm going to use firstly to start my sentence to talk about the first thing that I did that day. So I'm going to write firstly. So I'm about to make a cake, so I'm going to write that I woke up in the morning and I remembered that it was my dear old granny's birthday. I like those words dear and old because they are adjectives. They're describing how I feel about my granny. She's dear, I like her. She's also old. And it also has an and in the middle, so that will be a compound sentence. And is one of those year one words that I like to use. So firstly, I woke up and I remembered that it was my dear old granny's birthday. That's quite a long sentence, so I'm going to have to be careful. Firstly, I woke is the past tense, so I know that I am doing a good job of writing it about it as if it has already happened. Firstly, I woke up, and then my conjunction and always comes in the middle. Firstly, I woke up and I remembered, I'm not sure if I can fit it in there, so I'm going to write it here. Firstly, I woke up and I remembered that it was, which is a past tense verb as well, my dear old granny's birthday. Firstly, I woke up and I remembered that it was my dear old granny's birthday. Full stop. Great. Okay, so now I'm going to write about the cake. I decided to make a delicious birthday cake. That's a good sentence. I could write, I decided to make a lovely birthday cake. I decided to make a tasty birthday cake, but I'm going to use the word delicious. I decided to make a delicious birthday cake. And I'm writing a sentence for this picture now. Capital letter I. Decided is a past tense verb because it's got the ed suffix on the end. To make a delicious birthday cake. I decided to make a delicious birthday cake. Now, I decided to make a delicious birthday cake is a good thing because cake is tasty and nice, and I'm doing a nice thing for my granny. then I ran out of sugar, and running out of sugar when you're making a cake is a bad thing. So if I've got a good thing and then a bad thing, I know that I can use the conjunction but in the middle of there. So I decided to make a delicious birthday cake, but because something bad is going to happen now, I decided to make a delicious birthday cake, but I ran out of sugar. So I'm not going to put a full stop anywhere near here because I've got but in the middle of my sentence. I decided to make a delicious birthday cake, but I ran out of sugar. Now my full stop comes there because that's the end of my sentence. I decided to make a delicious birthday cake, but in the middle, I ran out of sugar, full stop. Okay, I've written that I am making a cake for my dear old granny, and I have written about running out of sugar. So now I need to say that I had a terrible sneezing cold, and I really like that sentence. I had a terrible sneezing cold. It tells me that the cold is terrible and it's making me sneeze, so it describes the cold. I had a terrible sneezing cold. Full stop. I had a terrible sneezing cold. Great. So now I am going to go to the straw house, and I could use the conjunction. I could use the time connective next to start my next sentence because I'm talking about what's happening next, in the next thing in the order of the things that happen. So I am going to write the word next with a capital N. Next, I walked to my neighbour's house. That's what's happening next. Next, I walked to my neighbour's house, so I'm going to write that. Next, I walked. I can tell that I'm still writing in the past tense because I've got an ed suffix there. Next, I walked to my neighbour's house. Now here, I could explain why I'm going to my neighbour's house, couldn't I? Because I haven't actually said that yet. I've said that I ran out of sugar, but I haven't said that I'm walking to my neighbour's house, or I walked to my neighbour's house because I was going to borrow some sugar. So next I walked to my neighbour's house because is a conjunction that helps explain why. I walked to my neighbour's house because I wanted to borrow some sugar. I wanted because I wanted to borrow some sugar. I walked to my neighbour's house because I wanted to borrow some sugar. I've got my conjunction in the middle of my sentence. Okay, so now I'm going to go back to my plan. I walked to my neighbour's house because I wanted to borrow some sugar. I knocked on the straw door, but it fell right in. I knocked on the straw door, but in the middle of my sentence, I knocked on the straw door. That was polite and nice of me, but it fell right in, and that is bad. But it fell right in. Super. I knocked on the straw door, but it fell right in. Then I suddenly felt a sneeze coming on, and I've used the word then as well, which is another time connective. So then I suddenly felt a sneeze coming on. You could put an exclamation mark there if you wanted to, because then I suddenly felt a sneeze coming on. Because it's happening suddenly, I'm quite surprised by it, so I could put an exclamation mark there if I wanted to. Right, then I felt a sneeze coming on, and I huffed and I snuffed and I sneezed, a great sneeze, and the house fell down. But what I just said had way too many ands in for one sentence, didn't it? So I need to just think about what happens next, and if I'm going to use and, I just use one in a sentence. Then I suddenly felt a sneeze coming on. I huffed and I snuffed. That's a good sentence because it only has one and in. I huffed and I snuffed. And now I've got one and in that sentence and it's in the middle, so I can put a full stop. I huffed and I snuffed. I sneezed a great sneeze. And the house fell down. I sneezed a great sneeze. That's one thing that happened. And the house fell down in the middle of my sentence, so it doesn't need a capital letter there because it's near the and. I sneezed a great sneeze and the house fell down. Full stop. I sneezed a great sneeze and the house fell down. Full stop. Super, that's two things that happened. Okay, so now I need to write, oh, now a moment ago we talked about exclamations. And the other day we learned about using how something or what a something in order to write an exclamation, and I've just thought about something that I just did. I sneezed a really great sneeze, a really big huge sneeze, so I could write what a massive sneeze or what a huge sneeze. That would be a really good exclamation to write. I'm glad I didn't use one before now because I think I might use one here instead. What a huge sneeze, and then an exclamation mark there. That's a really good exclamation because I just did a really big sneeze, so I'm going to say what a huge sneeze. And now I need to write my next part of the story. The house has fallen down. There in the middle of the pile of straw is the little pig dead as a doornail. And the pig was dead, so I ate him. And I really like that sentence. The pig was already dead, so I ate him. It has so in, which is quite a tricky conjunction to use. So the pig was already dead, so I ate him is a really good sentence. Oh, and I could describe the pig as well. The little pig. The little pig was already dead. So, in the middle of a sentence, I ate him, and then a full stop. The little pig was already dead, so I ate him. Okay, I'm quickly going to read through my work so far to check that it makes sense. Dear Diary, firstly I woke up and I remembered that it was my dear old granny's birthday. I decided to make a delicious birthday cake, but I ran out of sugar. I had a terrible sneezing cold. Next I walked to my neighbour's house because I wanted to borrow some sugar. I knocked on the straw door, but it fell right in. Then I suddenly felt a sneeze coming on. I huffed and I snuffed. I sneezed a great sneeze and the house fell down. What a huge sneeze. The little pig was already dead, so I ate him. I could write, he was crushed by the falling straw, or something like that to make it a bit funny. So next it's going to be your turn, year ones. You're going to use your plan to try and write me this whole story about what happened to you, Alexander T. Wolfe. It is a really long story, so if you want to do it in bits, that is absolutely fine. You don't have to sit down and do it all in one go. I would perhaps do it in thirds. You could go to the first house, have a little break, then do the second house, have a little break, and then do the end. You can do it in 3 parts. That is absolutely fine because it's a really long story. The main thing is remembering things like capital letters, finger spaces, and full stops, using your neatest handwriting and trying to work in some of those other snazzy year 1 grammar features like conjunctions and time connectives and adjectives. I'm really, really excited to read your work because I know you've worked really, really hard on this, so I would love it so much if you could send me some pictures of your big writes once they are done. You are being Alexander T. Wolfe and you are using this plan that we did yesterday to help you write the story of what happened to you on that day as a diary. Make it as funny as you want. I know that some people have been sending me their sentences and they're really, really funny ones. And it is meant to be a bit informal because it's a diary. It is meant to be a bit funny as well, so make it as funny as you want. And I'm really looking forward to reading them and I hope you have fun writing them. See you soon!